star 1.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Auto Remarketing Training Series webinar. My name is Bill Tedites. I'm the publisher of Auto Remarketing, and in studio with me today, our webinar executive producer is Nick Zulovich, and our coordinating producer is Mary Lou McQuilkin. Today's webinar presented by Manheim. You can visit them online at manheim.com. And also presented today by Dominion Dealer Solutions. And visit them online as well. Find them at drivedominion.com. Before we get started and before we introduce our speakers this afternoon, just want to go over a few items for today's webinar. First of all, please make sure that you've dialed in using the phone number that was provided in your communication email or that you're able to listen via your PC speakers. We are recording today's ARTS webinar, and we're going to make the recording and presentations available to you in the coming days, so be on the lookout for that. As a participant, you'll be in listen-only mode for the webinar, but we are going to reserve some time after the presentations for some Q&A. And we encourage you and we invite you to submit your questions at any time through the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. If you aren't able to get your question in today, don't worry about that. We're going to forward each of them to our presenters so they can respond back to you directly via email. And lastly, if you have any difficulty during the webinar, please click on the hand icon. That, in essence, will raise your hand. It's on the GoToWebinar control panel, and that will alert a member on our side to help you in any way that we can. And please stay tuned following our final session. We have a couple of additional information points that we'd like to fill you in on regarding some upcoming events that we have within the auto remarketing family. And now to get us started off this afternoon, you see Chris Hill and Jen Ryan. We're happy to have both of them on board. Chris Hill is first up for us today. Chris is the manager of customer education for Manheim's The Wholesale Institute, and his session today is entitled Remain Retail Ready, Have a Wholesale Purchase Plan. Please welcome to the Auto Remarketing Training Series this afternoon, Chris Hill. Chris, take it away.
Well, thank you, and thank you very much. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share with you today. So I'm glad everyone could join, by the way. So we'll go ahead and get started. So every day, around the country, no matter what's going on, and make sure that this is this going out there? Just want to make sure real quick before I get into it and nothing's actually going out.
We do not see your screen yet.
That would probably help if I click the show my screen button.
That's going to do it.
That is going to do it. All right. So every day, no matter where we are around the country, we have this beautiful operation that's happening in our dealership, right? And there's customers galore, and there's sales folks working with customers, and just the business is happening. But one of those things that happens that we love to happen, but we start to freak out when is, oh my goodness, we just sold 2 cars. So the weekend, just wrapped up, and now we've got 2 gaping holes at the best part of our dealership, right? And those aren't just holes; those are empty spots for making profit. So let's talk about the best way to try to fill those. Now, I've been doing this and working with customers for many, many years now, and at least since 2008 and 9. Everyone says, well, everything I trade for, Chris, I put on the front lot. So I'm pretty good to go. I don't have to worry about sourcing too often. Well, what happens when you trade for that 2001 Pontiac Aztek, or you trade for that 95 Volvo 850 with 900,000 rounds? Well, those 2 certainly aren't going to go to the front of the lot. Those are going to have to go somewhere else and find a new home. So we're going to now have to go through that arduous process of burying ourselves in the office as we're either preparing for a sale that we're going to go visit, or we're going to go and try to source some vehicles online. So over the next 15, 20 minutes, I want to talk about some of the best ways to prepare for that, and to make sure that you're in front of the most inventory, that you can reach out further than you ever have before, and source more than you ever have. So here's a typical setup here, and maybe you're using an inventory management system. Maybe you just keep a dry erase board loaded up with all the inventory that you need. Regardless of that, you have needs, and those needs have to be met. So not only do we have these immediate ones and this core inventory, but we also have that those two holes out there that we need to fill at the same time. So, maybe we have a retail customer that needs a, Range Rover, 08, 09 Range Rover, black with all the goodies on it. So that's going to be our goal today. Well, as we get in and we start to look around online, we can see that there's a lot of options out there, right? We can get in there, we can spend time at that option, we can spend time in this fact that we hear all the time. We did almost searching in Mannheim or any marketplace for that. Do the motions here of clicking that 50 different flavors, and what it feels like is the same here, and click on search. What we come up with is and I know that there are more inventory out there than what we're actually seeing in that first example of a search. So now let's try the same thing, but instead of clicking all those boxes, we're just going to free text this. Typing that in there, we're able to search more broadly across all the Mannheim network to try to find more relevant inventory to meet our needs. Then from there, we can whittle that down, get it, so we're looking at stuff in our backyard. If you have a preference for condition reports, whatever flavor you need, you can then sort that out by the narrow by column. Now we can spend more time focusing on the relevant inventory that we've come up with rather than spending countless time actually performing the search. So now we've landed on a unit, let's go to the next process here, which is, once we've come up with it, how can we make sure that we're always keeping our eyes on the most relevant inventory as we're going through all these search results? So what we have here is just an example, just sort of a cross-section of what it would look like to access your workbook. So as you're going through here and you see this workbook on every single unit, well, that's just a great place where you can actually store units and access them later. And a lot of people say, Chris, well, everything I see I'm not going to buy, and I get that. But you'd be surprised how many calls we get at customer care here at Mannheim for people that, and the call sounds like this. I saw it was a red one, it was in lane something or other, I can't remember the run number, can you help me find it? And the answer is no, because you probably had a little bit of interest at some point on a vehicle, and then as you started doing more searching, you forgot about it, and it only came up at the last second that you remembered it. So Workbook's just a great place where you can take some units that you have some mild interest in, put them aside so you can take action on them later, or take no action whatsoever. So now once we get into our workbook, we've got all these ways and means that we can narrow this down, that we can come up with whatever it is we were looking for. Plus the other thing that I like, and again this is just an example of what I've seen successful buyers doing, is they add notes into their workbooks. They come in here and they put some sort of notes that's indicative to them on how they might want to price that vehicle because they're being mindful of the profitability of each transaction. Plus, once those notes have been added on any of those vehicles in your notebook, they're automatically synced to your mobile device. So you can access them later on, keep everything organized. So if you're going to the sale, so if you're on the go, whatever, everything's in one place at one time. So again, just like I like to give a live demonstration on everything that I do. So you can see here, we're going back. We're going to access this condition report here. And we're going to find the thing that could make or break this deal or just could have significant impact on the way that we price it out. So down here in this previous repair box, I'm going to copy and paste this right fender in the car, but only at the right price. And here's another one that I may have some interest in as well. So now I'm going to go to my workbook, and just as easily as I was able to copy it, I'm going to paste that into my notes section. So you can see I already got a couple other notes as I'm moving through here because this is about the way I'm going to price this vehicle, whether I'm going to buy it on simulcast, whether I'm going to buy it in the lane. I just like having a full understanding of where I need to be on each car. And I know this has never happened to anyone out there. It's probably only ever happened to me, but sometimes in the lane it could be easy to get, maybe forced into bidding more than you wish you could. Maybe it's easy to sort of say, I'll teach that guy a lesson. I'm going to bid again, and the next thing you know, that there's not that much profit to be made left on that vehicle. So if you're taking the time to figure out where you need to be on each vehicle so that there's a nice profit margin there, well then place that in the comments or the notes section as well. So as you're at the sale or you're online, you're just mindful of where you wanted to stop. So even if we're out on the showroom floor and vehicles that we researched happen to be coming up in the sale, we can still easily go back to our mobile device and access those same notes. So as there they are, clear as day. If we need to get in there, we want to bid on that vehicle, we still can, and we still have all the relevant information that we need to at the same time. So, and again, this may be a second or two off, but I'll try to be mindful of that because sometimes the video doesn't match up as well. So I'll try to be a little more mindful. So we've done that hard work of actually going through and finding the vehicles. We've gotten in there and we found the best inventory possible. We've added that inventory to a place that so we can access it later on. Now, after we finish that, we want to make sure that we're actually saving these searches. So what this does is this allows us to be able to come back and access this same search later on. Now, I know that most folks out there probably do a couple of searches every day, but if you're doing the same search for the same piece of inventory over and over and over again, well, then it's just a lot of wasted time and effort. Yeah, to do the same searches every day or many times a day is just, if it only takes 5 minutes, you're doing 5 of those a day, well, if you were to actually save those searches, then you could do it once and then erase them as you need to. So here's just an example. I went in there, had some criteria down, I typed it in there, and I was able to save. Then from there, this is one of my most favorite things about Save Search. It's not necessarily the ability to get some email notifications, because those are helpful. But what I like is at Manheim.com, as soon as you save that search, the first thing that you see when you log in is the freshest inventory available. Finally caught up with me. So the inventory that you've saved in that Save Search column, you can actually go and click on the units that are the freshest versus all the inventory that you've already seen already. Because I don't need to see the 108 Honda Financial credit cars. I just need to see the 48 fresh ones that have just been loaded today. Makes it easier to assist on inventory you haven't already researched. So again, here we are. We've just logged in to Manheim.com. We're looking at all of our saved searches there, and you can see that from there we just did that search for that Range Rover HSE. So we can just go to the 5 newest ones that were loaded today. Because if any of those vehicles happen to be on OVE, that's the 24/7, 365 marketplace, well then I want to be able to access those immediately and try to take advantage of those vehicles that were just listed. So there it is, clear as day. We're able to get it. Now, if you weren't taking notes, that's okay. I took a couple notes myself. So just as a reminder, when you're doing your searches and you're out there and you're going through all this process, take advantage of the keyword. It allows you to speed up the process of the search, allows you to find more relevant inventory in a broader pattern, and you can even, I didn't mention this, you can actually even incorporate things like DVD, navigation. There was a gentleman a couple weeks ago and he was looking for nothing but wheelchair-accessible vehicles. So that was something that we were able to put into keyword and he was able to bring back rather than looking after unit after unit after unit. So as you're in that, looking at all that inventory, that's probably the best idea to go in and make sure you're adding some units to workbook. The workbook will just help you stay more organized. It'll help keep everything that you're interested in one place, and you can keep better tabs on what's going on. Plus, that notion, that idea of if you're spending all that time to do the research and to do homework on every vehicle out there, and there are things that are going to affect the profitability of each unit, well, you might want to make a note of that so that you're more focused and you're more aware of what's going on with each unit. And finally, the last one here in this search area is about just saving the searches, because I think your time is just as valuable as the profit that you make. And those people that live in your house called your family, maybe they'd like to see a little bit more. And hopefully, if you could come in and cut a little bit of time from all the time you spend in the wholesale marketplace, you might be able to do that. So now that's sort of the harder part, is about just being more effective with our searches and what we're looking for. Now is about accessing those vehicles, sourcing those units, being able to get those vehicles back to the dealership. So we've got a couple of interesting things that, and these are, if you're a more seasoned veteran, you probably have seen these or heard of these before, but I always like to be mindful of this because I'm never surprised by how many workshops we do and people just never heard of a couple of these tools. So the first one I want to share with you is called Retail View. So let's just take an example. Let's pretend that at our dealership we've got our retail customer that's come in, right? And this is a good retail customer. Maybe it's a return customer. We've and we've seen him before, and he's really excited about the Range Rover HSE, right? But you have the blue one, of course, and he is just bent on getting the black one. It has to be the black one. He only came in today just to test drive it to make sure that it's still the right car, but he does not want that color. So we can go back into the office, right? Spend just a minute or two with him at our desk, bring up the black one in our virtual marketplace, and tell him that we can have this vehicle back here in a couple days. And we can present him over with a one-sheeter that is just has nothing to do with the wholesale marketplace, has nothing to do with pricing, has nothing to do with anything that isn't relative to the retail needs of this customer. So on this one-sheeter, there may be, from time to time, some images of vehicles have logos of the dealership or have, or just parked right in front of the dealership. So we can actually go in and customize this view. So we can click on Customize and eliminate some of these pictures that we might not want to show, or might be a competitor's logo, or if it's some damage that we're going to repair ourselves, we might want to take that out as well. So we're just presenting him over with the best marketable representation of this car, and potentially even taking a deposit and go ahead and buying this car before you've even before it's even arrived. So the other thing is, so now we've found something. We got the customer excited. We've let him know that we don't have that exact car, but we were able to keep him happy and hopefully not lose a customer and get him to get excited about the one that we found that's online. Well, now it's the perfect car, so we need to be in front of that car. So we've done all this research. We found, an 08 Range Rover HSE. There are not a lot of them out there that are in pretty good shape with low mileage. So, we were able to find the right car, but that vehicle happens to be coming up at the same exact time that I'm going to be at my auction. So I need to be able to find a way to still purchase that car and still bid on the cars that I need to at the sale. So Manheim has actually introduced what we're calling simulcast for mobile, and that's just the ability to engage and log into a simulcast sale through your mobile device. Now, when I first saw this, I was thinking, are people going to be all over the country, at the dentist office, the grocery store, buying cars? You can, but it's interesting that more and more people, what we're finding out, are actually using the simulcast on mobile feature while they're at the auction to either bid on other vehicles that are coming up in other lanes or to bid on other vehicles at other sales. So now we're here over in lane 7, say Manheim, Atlanta, and we're able to bid on this vehicle that's over here at Manheim, Ohio at the same exact time. So again, I'm really big on repetition. So we're just coming in, we're going into our workbook, accessing that unit, going and clicking on the Enter Sale button. And then as we log in, it has a very familiar look and feel of simulcast. So the only thing it's lacking, and I say only, it is lacking audio and video, but what you get is a live data stream of the bid activity that's coming in. So whether it's an in-lane bidder, whether it's an online bidder, you see all that activity there in the bid screen. You have the light system set up, just as if you were using simulcast or standing in the lane. If there are any announcements on this vehicle, they show up right there, so you can click the announcements and find out what's going on with the vehicle if you need to. But again, it's just a great way to try to source more vehicles. And maybe we're not at the auction. Maybe we actually are the most important guy at our dealership or gal at our dealership, and we need to be on the floor at all times because we are the most effective person that desk deals. We're the most effective person that appraises cars. We are pivotal at the dealership. So for us to be locked away inside of the office all day really does hurt the business. So this is a way that you can, again, add a couple vehicles to your workbook, still be out on the floor working with your retail sales folks or working with customers, but still touching the vehicles that you need to source. And the other thing that Manheim has actually introduced is what we're calling now enhanced imaging on our condition reports. So this is actually giving our customers out there a brand new view and an enhanced image of the vehicles that they're seeing. So the sellers are choosing to purchase this on behalf of the buyers and provide that in the condition report so that you can not only have a nice big image, but you can zoom into that image up to 4 times the original resolution. Now it's a little grainy here on the screen, and it'll catch up here in just a second. But if you were actually able to see it online, you actually see that you can dive in very deep into these images. So as I'm looking at, say, a picture of damage, I can say, well, is that some dust there? Is that dirt? Or is that actually rust on the vehicle itself? So we can zoom in really nice and tight and see that image. Oh, nope, that's actually rust, and there's actually paint missing from that spot. So that's just a great new enhancement, and you're going to start to hopefully see that on more and more vehicles as we're rolling this out across the country. But hopefully it gives our buyers just more relief and gives them more understanding of what's going on with every single vehicle they're looking at. The other thing to provide more excitement for our buyers and to be able to provide more confidence in the vehicles that they're sourcing is what we're calling a Deal Shield. So Deal Shield is now a new product that it's only at some of our locations right now. It's about 15 to 17 locations, but it is going to be rolling out to more throughout the year. So you'll start to see these kiosks at our auctions, or you'll start to see the Deal Shield logo on vehicles that you're researching online. So this allows customers and buyers to have more ability to have more confidence in the vehicles because of eliminating the need and uncertainty for arbitration. So you can purchase a Deal Shield guarantee, which allows you to get 100% of the vehicle cost, including fees, refunded back. The only fee you don't get back is whatever the fee is for Deal Shield. The price that you're allowed to purchase gives you between 7 and up to 21 days of coverage, and you have between 200 and up to 500 miles that you can actually put onto the vehicle. Plus, the Deal Shield covers as-is inventory, which is a brand new segment because a lot of as-is buyers have never really had anything outside of maybe a mechanical check or something else that they could get on the car to feel confident about what they're buying. It looks at several different areas. It looks at the seller, who the seller is, the inventory that he represents. It looks at the buyer and what the buyer purchases. It looks at the vehicle itself. And finally, it looks at the price paid on the block. So all four of those is what gives that Deal Shield guarantee price. And that ranges anywhere from, 60, 50, 60 bucks, and can go up to $200, $300, $400. So if it's a high-end car, it's high miles, and it's an as-is. So you sort of line everything up, you could see how the fee could be pretty high. But for most purchases out there, it's only going to be a small nominal fee. Plus, we've always had our post-sale inspections, which allow the vehicles to get checked out by our mechanics before they leave the dealership. So some transactions, you maybe for this Range Rover, it's at Manheim, Ohio. We've never bought from there before. We're here in Atlanta, so it's a little bit further out. So maybe this is, if I qualify, if it's being sold at Manheim, I'd want to purchase as a Deal Shield. Maybe even still get it checked out by post-sale, or maybe one or the other would be perfect. So just an example there of what that looks like. So just as a reminder here, check out Retail View if you've never seen it before. It's on every vehicle at Manheim. You can, you'll see it on the right corner of every vehicle that's listed. It's OVE, Manheim.com, simulcast, whatever. Just the opportunity for you to present more vehicles to your customers and not miss out on deals. Plus, you can use this really for email lead generation as whatever software solutions you're using is generating these leads. Simulcast on mobile just allows you to have more freedom and flexibility, either to not be cooped up and locked away in the office all day long as you're trying to source inventory, or as you're trying to source more inventory at the sale on sale day. Being able to use the mobile application will certainly put you in front of more and give you more ability to purchase those units. So the last part here, and I'm just about to wrap up, is that managing process. So managing through what we're doing after the sale. So it's always been sort of an arduous process to maybe call the auction on sale day or email someone over there to get some information. Well, now through Manheim.com and through Manheim's free app, you have what's called My Purchases. My Purchases gives you the ability to go in there and indicate payment. You can purchase a post-sale up to 3 hours after the vehicle's left the block. You can set up transportation, and you can get notifications on what's going on with that vehicle. So here's just sort of a bird's eye view of what that looks like. So if you haven't seen this before, highly recommend it. Logging into Manheim.com, under My Manheim, you'll see what's called My Purchases. So lots of ability to see every vehicle that you're purchasing. These vehicles show up almost immediately as they're purchased on the block, and you can reference them up to a year. So all the inventory you've purchased up to a year is right there. The other really neat tool that I think is most impressive to me is the ability to actually go in and set up notifications. So like I said, calling the auction, getting a hold of someone at the auction can sometimes be difficult, so we want to be able to go in and say, hey, what's going on with my post-sale? I need to know. Well, you can get set up on a text message where you can get text when the post-sale has been completed, passed, or failed. You get set up if you bought the vehicle without a title or without present or what's going on with the title. You can be text when that title comes in and when it's mailed out. Once the vehicle leaves the auction, you can get a text message on that as well. So the vehicle's still there. If it's left the lot, you'll be notified as soon as possible. So again, just ways and means that you can be more connected to your transactions and less dependent on other people to have to give you that information. So also, you may not be aware, but not only can you set up payment information, go in there and indicate how you'd like to pay, you can actually process a payment through My Account. So by going into Manheim.com and clicking on My Account, you can actually transmit payments if need be. So a lot of folks sometimes may get that warning message at the top of Manheim.com that they're unable to make purchases that day because they're up against their UCL. Well, if you're set up on My Account, you can go ahead and immediately make a payment and have that taken off because it updates your UCL immediately once it's been paid. The other thing is if you're paying a lot of money for, for overnighting checks and sending checks and processing all those checks, well, being set up on My Account is just one less expense you'll have to pay for all that mailing of checks and whatnot. And finally, the last part in this whole self-managed area, and this is sort of the one I'm most excited about, is the ability to self-manage transportation. So a lot of people say all the time, once they've heard about this or seen it online, is this now taking away the transporter that I've always used? And no, it's not. It's actually going to allow you and that transporter, if you're pleased with them, to stay more connected, much more easier. So you got two options. So as you're looking at vehicles online, you got two options on every vehicle you see. You've got what's a guaranteed quote from the Ready Auto Transport, which is a full process, full service process. So soup to nuts, they handle everything for you, and they give you that guaranteed delivery date, which is a great thing just to reference when you're trying to figure out profitability as well. You just glance at that, what could be the transportation costs. The other is this self-managed piece. You can actually go into One Dispatch and take a look at all the vehicles that you're purchasing with One Dispatch. So I'll show you real quickly as I'm wrapping up here, sorry. So all the vehicles you purchase at Manheim.com are already being sent over to One Dispatch. You probably don't even know that yet. You just log into One Dispatch with your Manheim username and password. You go in there and you can see all the vehicles that you've been purchased that are already in this marketplace. You just need to confirm your address, make sure everything is correct as we received it from Auction Access. And now you can go in there and actually indicate how you'd like to try to get the best price possible for your transportation. So you can set it up as a take it now. So you can just let the open market, take that price if it's just a one price. You can let the open market place a bid for your business. So you'd be surprised how many vehicles deadhead from Manheim all the time, either leaving empty or showing up at Manheim without anything on there, or almost all full. So you can allow for bidding, or you can allow the shippers out there to make you an offer, just tell you what they'd be willing to get that car on the truck for and get it back to you. So if I'm reaching out to Manheim, Ohio, and I've never bought from there before, and I don't really have a transportation solution, I'm trying to get the cost down because I'm having to reach out further for this vehicle, well, this is a great opportunity to try to get that cost back down in this transportation space. So take advantage of My Purchases. It really gives you the freedom and flexibility to handle more of your post-sale business on your own. One Dispatch is a great opportunity for you to really get that cost down for all your transportation needs, and you can still stay connected to the transport you've always used. You can just do it on in a digital way, or you can connect with more transporters out there to really try to get that cost down. So if we've done everything correctly, hopefully those vehicles show up back to the lot. We fill those big, huge holes out front. We make our customers happy, and the world is right again. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity to present this to you today. And I don't know if we're taking questions right now or at the end, but if you do have any, I'd be willing to, whatever you need.
Great, Chris. Thank you very much. Well done, Chris Hill with Manheim's Wholesale Institute. We do have a couple of questions online here, Chris. Very quick. When you were going through the workbook portion of the presentation, one of the dealers' question was, is there any way to share that workbook with a team member?
So that's a great question, and I've actually received that quite a few times here recently. So it seems to be there's a trend going on. Currently, right now, the only way to share is sort of an old school methodology, which is by printing off the workbook and handing it to that other person. There's also you can print it off with QR codes. So you could go in there and print and indicate that you'd like to have QR codes turned on, so you can, share that with somebody else and they could just scan those. But I know what the question really is, and that's like, hey, I and a team of my buyers, we sort of work together, and if I'm finding something, I want to be able to sort of transmit that over. And currently there is not. But again, as of recent, it seems like to be a lot of folks are asking that same question, and we're hearing it loud and clear.
Chris, are there any additional fees for the user on the simulcast to have that on their phone?
Great question. No, there is not. So it's the same simulcast fee that's on the desktop simulcast. That same fee applies in the mobile space, but there are no additional fees to use that. So it's what you see and what you're currently using is the same fee.
And one more, and we'll let you go, and we'll move on to Jen Ryan, who's with Dominion Dealer Solutions. But Chris, can the vehicle notifications only be sent by text, or is there another mode?
Okay. So yeah, in my purchases, right now it's only for text, but they've already got it on a roadmap to have it set up for email. We're just not there yet, but that is coming.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Chris Hill. He's the manager of customer education at Mannheim's The Wholesale Institute. Chris, nice job. You get an A for the PowerPoint, but a C for the penmanship.
Yeah, it's poor. I'm sorry about that, but thank you very much for your time.
Chris, thanks a lot. We appreciate the setup. And next up this afternoon, as we continue on the auto remarketing training series this afternoon, is Jen Ryan. Jen is the Director of Inventory Solutions with Dominion Dealer Solutions, and her presentation this afternoon is entitled Supercharge Your Inventory to Attract the Most Promising Buyers. Jen, thanks for waiting around and being with us this afternoon. We look forward to your presentation.
Great, thanks so much, and great job, Chris. Let's see if we can get rolling here today. All right, can you hear me okay?
Yep, sounds good, looks good.
All right, fantastic. Understanding the behavior of a used car image, one of the most challenging things that dealers are facing today around merchandising. So we're going to take a few minutes today and spend some time discussing how to supercharge your inventory to attract the most promising buyers. Online shoppers expect a more personalized and customized shopping experience each and every day, and we can look at other retailers like Amazon.com and understand really what consumers are asking for. The challenge as dealers is to connect that right vehicle with the right likely buyer and deliver that right message. Powerful inventory insights and evolving technologies can help us deliver this type of engagement to help dealers make better merchandising and cars faster and increasing profits. So we'll be defining what dynamic vehicle merchandising is and why it's important. Though the listeners on the call may have a great merchandising program in place, even the smallest tweaks to your pricing and merchandising strategy will help you increase activity. Second, let's review today's car buyers and see exactly what they're interested in so that we can understand how to grab more attention and more clicks. And third, let's review some new ways dealers are supercharging their inventory by expanding beyond the basics to really focus on true vehicle product marketing, targeting the right likely buyers, and delivering that targeted message. And finally, we'll wrap up and give you guys some actions to take home today. So what is dynamic vehicle merchandising and why is it important? Well, if we take a look at Wikipedia, they would define dynamic vehicle merchandising as a force that stimulates change, contributes to the sale of a mobile machine. I don't know that that's going to give us too many actions that we'd be able to take and run with today. So let's break this down in a different format. Let's define dynamic vehicle merchandising as the relevant vehicle content generated in real time to deliver a value-driven, consumer-targeted experience. In other words, for the marketers out there, let's find a way to automatically deliver that right message at exactly the right time for the right car shopper that is not only relevant and purposeful, but also specific. In addition, let's make sure to connect all those consumer touch points, including a dealer's website, third-party VDPs, videos, custom vehicle comments, social engagements, and more to deliver that single consumer experience. So now that we know a little bit about, what exactly is dynamic vehicle merchandising, let's take a look at why retailers and dealers specifically need to take a look at what they need to do today. One from Google to Facebook is reminding us each and every day how quickly the consumer shopping experience is changing. In fact, the new multi-screen world is forcing retailers, and more specifically dealers, to really reevaluate and define a better and more informative shopping experience. One example came from Google in 2012, where they said that 90% of all media interactions are screen-based when it comes to consumers. In addition, and probably what's caused panic and confusion among dealers, is the fact that 90% of shoppers are using multiple screens throughout their shopping, research, and decision-making process. So simultaneously looking at mobile, tablets, and desktops, and probably back again, to define what they want and how they're going to shop for it. So what does this really mean? Dealers need to make sure that when they're delivering relevant, purposeful, and informative consumer experience, that everything is connected. In fact, if a shopper lands on your vehicle detail page today, whether it's on a mobile device or a desktop, and jumps quickly to another site to gather more information, Google starts to deem your content as pretty irrelevant. The goal for dealers should be to deliver the best content that they can to keep shoppers on the site as long as possible. And that will translate to increased interest, increased leads, and hopefully increased sales. It's now more important than ever that you start to know and understand each of your shoppers by type, by technology, by interaction, and by type of communication that they're interested in. As the consumer experiences continue to change, what specifically are consumers expecting? There are studies that are out there today, and they all tell really the same story. I released a study last year that said dealers really want an easy, simple, and clear process. They want to see all the information very simply online about a vehicle. They want clear and easy pricing so they can understand it, and they want to be able to quickly compare the vehicles when they're in their process of shopping. Dealers need to make sure that they get into the hands of consumers as much VIN-specific information as possible. Today, generic VIN explosion, dealer jargon, and missing data elements is not going to satisfy the consumers of the future. Dealers need to quickly define what process they need in place or technology to help them simplify getting this information in front of the consumer. In addition, we noticed that consumer expectations have changed, and so have their shopping process. J.D. Power published a study that 95% of online shoppers will purchase a vehicle from a dealership where they have viewed their inventory. Well, that's not surprising, but the surprising part is that only 5% of those active shoppers actually submit leads. So while your consumers are out there looking at your inventory and shopping, sometimes and many times, as the statistic shows us, they're not taking action. In addition, the more times that a VIN is viewed online, the more likely that piece of inventory will actually turn in 30 to 45 days. In fact, if the average vehicle is viewed around 23 times, what are you doing to your listings to make sure that those consumers are coming back? What is the right information that we should be putting in front of those shoppers to guarantee that they're interested not only online, but showing up on the lot and in the room? Furthermore, as we investigate the critical path of an online shopper, we're learning that the importance of merchandising cannot be forgotten, that quality and quantity really do matter. Google shared with us that an in-market shopper turns on average to 24 touch points before they actually visit a dealership. This includes OEM sites, search engines, third parties, dealer websites, videos, all those things are out there today. But how are you making sure that the right information is in front of those consumers? In fact, 72% of inventory searches today involve cross-shopping. They want to see what's going on with all the other vehicles so they can really narrow down the pieces of the vehicles and the types that are really interesting to them. So comparing options, package, pricing, and more is where dealers really need to start focusing. In other words, and I think you'd agree, targeting and capturing the attention of these shoppers is becoming more complicated and more demanding as we continue. So given everything we've learned, and given why it's so important to have extra attention when it comes to dynamic vehicle merchandising, let's take a few minutes and just figure out how we can get beyond the basics and really supercharge our inventory. The first area that dealers really should be focusing on is VIN-specific merchandising. The challenge is how to transform what has appeared like for so many years a many-to-many relationship to a really one-to-one consumer-focused shopping experience. Dealers need to make their vehicle listings extremely easy for prospects to essentially date. By providing shoppers with the right level of VIN-specific information, shoppers will be able to quickly and easily make decisions such as, is this vehicle really right for me? Does it have the most important elements on my checklist in plain English that I'll understand, not so much dealer jargon? And what if the shopper is really interested in a blue SUV with leather seats, a sunroof, and a cold weather package? Would your listings today be able to give them that level of detail that they could quickly check off to their list if that vehicle is of interest? Dealers need to hone in on the most important message elements for their vehicle by focusing on three main areas: price, value, and type of customer. Dealer retailers will be able to instantly see positive results by taking this approach. So let's look at the 4 areas that we really educate our dealers around to create VIN-specific actions in their listings. First is quality photos. Second is value-driven content like unique vehicle differentiators. Third is the target likely buyers for that vehicle. And fourth is market-based pricing. So let's start off with quality photos. When it comes to photos, dealers, we really recommend you own your own image. Make sure you have a set plan of how to execute the vehicle photography for your dealership. And there's really 3 basic elements that will help you do that. First, use real photos for both your new and used vehicles. Avoid stock images or using them throughout your marketing pieces. Second, this for your vehicles to ensure you're capturing both exterior and interior. And even more sophisticated dealers have moved on to live video, which is a great way to showcase, what's going on with those vehicles today. And third, prominently display dealership branding when it comes to overlays and clipping elements. So we can see in some recent example just the other day off of a third-party listing, dealers are struggling with making sure that they always have photos, making sure they're using real photos, and making sure that their image of their photos actually fit really nicely in their overlays. The fact remains that high-quality dealer lot photos outperform inconsistent dealer lot photos every day. The use of real photos instantly improve lead generation for your vehicles. Cobalt recently said that a winning tactic is that 70% of consumers stated they won't click through from a search result page to a vehicle detail page if it has a stock image on it. Feels like we're leaving some consumers sitting out without, being able to solve what they're really trying to look for. In fact, vehicles with real and multiple photos outperform single or stock photos every time. So the first action that I'll encourage everybody to write down is to really define your approach for capturing the right quantity as well as the superior quality of photos when it comes to your vehicles. The next way to supercharge your inventory is to focus your vehicle listings on value-driven content. Value-driven content can be gleaned by analyzing each specific VIN and comparing that to the other VINs that are in the marketplace today. The comparison obviously will help with a price strategy for a dealership, but I also recommend that it influence your vehicles. For example, dealers should be able to quickly identify and market such triggers as demand triggers. Is this vehicle highly popular or extremely scarce or even in low supply that it might be of interest to the buyer? Unique configuration triggers that are around make and model combinations, specific feature and condition combinations that may drive price or pique prospect interest. These quick triggers, or as we refer to them as unique vehicle differentiators, will come in helpful as you create specific vehicle messaging for your comments, advertisements, videos, and more. As well as they can be handed off to your sales teams to prepare them for shopper questions and objections. Best of all, as these triggers change, you can instantly update your vehicle merchandising and their effects on your pricing strategy elements. That is what we truly think of as dynamic vehicle merchandising. So taking a deeper look here, unique differentiators can be leveraged to create the right message. It gives you the opportunity to tell that unique story behind each vehicle, including different ways of including, marketing packages, descriptions, high-valued options, differentiators, reviews, and more. Consumers will be able to put themselves in that vehicle and really understand if this is going to solve their needs and wants. Also, it's important to update and deliver content for your listings and your consumers so that the vehicle and market shifts can be understood very quickly. This will ensure that you have the differentiation that you need based on the live market view for each vehicle. So the action for the listeners on this one is to pull together a unique differentiation process so that you understand how to incorporate it into your vehicle comments, your advertisements, your displays on your photos as you shoot those photos out over the internet, as well as any vehicle videos that you're doing. The third area to supercharge your inventory is to target the most likely buyer for your vehicle. Technologies are available today to help gain quick access to which are the most likely buyers based on demographic and transactional sales data for each vehicle. Likely buyers or personas represent the demographic group that has been most prevalently purchased that particular vehicle in a particular market over the last 30 days. It's interesting to see, how understanding buyer data may actually change a dealership's perspective on merchandising. Listening and implementing targeted messages to capture buyer attention can really actually help drive clicks and showroom traffic. Information such as average age, average income level, interests, activities, and relationship status will actually help you to better target who's in your database and how this vehicle actually matches those interests. For prospect profiles, they overlay that demographic information across the entire U.S. and the actual vehicle transactions. This is the same type of information that retailers such as Amazon are using today to ensure that they're targeting the right message of the right product to the right user. Likely buyer data is designed to help dealers make very timely and accurate decisions. The profiles can actually be tied to in-market purchases, not when the vehicles were actually new, but in real time. So they can be very different than maybe the target audience when the vehicle was new. Profiles are also assessed independently for each market across the United States. So a likely profile, for example, in Detroit of a specific vehicle may be very different than the likely profile of a vehicle located in Dallas, Texas. So let's take a look at that example. In Detroit, over the last 30 days, there were 149 2010 Chevy Malibus sold. The most prominent buyer group is our Diamonds to Glow classification, which is an average age of about 45, and interest levels such as golfing and biking. These profiles are actually twice as interested to participate in frequent flyer clubs and are extremely active in intense travel. So keys like this will help you identify ideal buyers in your database, or CRM, as well as help you play up how you advertise or market these vehicles. Highlighting extra trunk storage or spacious room for long car rides for multiple passengers might be the best way to show the benefits of this vehicle. As compared to in Dallas, over the same time period, there were 96 2010 Chevy Malibus sold. Target group for this one is our Nice and Easy group with an average age of 65. These individuals are mostly interested in local travel and spending quality time with their grandchildren or extended family. So identifying target buyers in your database and then highlighting things such as the comfort and convenience package with cushion storage or sound package entertainment with CD and DVD player might be very enticing to these dealers to make sure you're drawing stronger interest. So the key here, and for anybody on the call today, the key action is to take a look at what you have in stock of your current on your lot. what are the top demographics that you guys have, and how do you start to market to those demographics to pull them into your showroom and really showcase the vehicles that will help them depending on what stage of life they're in. The final point that we'll address today is the importance of market-based pricing on each and every used vehicle. We recommend for dealers that, number one, always include a price. I'm still amazed when I meet with dealers and check online on how many vehicles out there not have price associated with them, either on their dealer website or on a third-party portal. That's the first area that kind of gets cut off when a consumer's searching. So make sure you have pricing out there today to draw those activities. Second, pricing is the one that draws the activities. In fact, used car listings with a price will receive about 39% more activity than vehicle detail pages without. So I wouldn't leave that to chance, and I'd make sure that you're staying well on top of the search for consumers. And then fourth, make sure you're monitoring your competitors, not on a weekly basis or monthly basis, but on a daily basis for each vehicle you have in stock. Drive the right price to make sure you have the right turn for your dealership. The actions for today's listeners are really to define that plan and ensure you have those priced competitively to capture the clicks and draw that consumer interest. So in conclusion, we'll just wrap up and summarize exactly what we chatted about today. First, make sure you understand your inventory data. How are you going to showcase quality photos? How are you going to leverage value-driven content to create differentiation? Where are you going to start targeting those most likely buyers for the vehicles you have on stock today? And how are you going to leverage market-based pricing to help increase visibility and capture those clicks? Also, connect the right technology and focus on inventory as the foundation. It is the backbone for creating the right message for your product, your used vehicles. Competitive advantage can be gained by connecting inventory through your CRM system, inventory website display, marketing services such as email or direct mail campaigns, and social avenues like Facebook and Pinterest. Finding ways to connect these technologies seamlessly will help you achieve a relevant and real-time consumer-targeted experience. And then finally, make sure you invest in the resource and dollars to put these actions in place. Some of them you'll be able to achieve very easily with who you have on staff today and what process you have there, which is a few minor tweaks. Other ones you may need to investigate how to really make these ones pay off. But in the long run, the benefits will pay dividends. And that's about it. I think we're right in our time today, and see if we have any questions out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Jen, thank you very much for walking us through some of that. And we do have a couple of questions from some of the dealers online very quickly that we'll get to. You had a question about the dynamic vehicle merchandising here in the manual process, and curious about an automated process, and is that available for the dealership as well? What does that look like?
There's different ways depending on which ones you want to do. So obviously, automating comments today is something that we can offer and others offer too, to make sure you're bringing the right elements in and delivering that right message in those so important seller notes that go out on all your vehicles. In addition, there's definitely ways that you can implement ensuring the right photo branding and overlays and live video and things like that are available for you today. It's a combination most of the time thereof, but definitely ways to improve that and take the manual effort out of it.
Very good. And in your experience, I know you travel around the country meeting with Dominion dealers that are having different experiences in a lot of different areas. What kind of return have you seen the dealers that you visited? What kind of return have you seen them have by making changes to their vehicle comments to include the differentiators and the target likely buyers?
Yeah, no, we've seen improvements and return instantly of, lift in the number of unique page views that those dealers are getting on those specific vehicles, up to 120%. We're also seeing time spent on the web increase significantly as well, from 2 to 5 minutes. So consumers are interested in there. They're trying to connect those data points, and we want to make everything as digestible to them as possible to really answer their questions. And this is kind of the results that dealers can see by implementing a full program.
No doubt. Absolutely valuable. She's Jen Ryan. She's the Director of Inventory Solutions at the VIN Dealer Solutions. Jen, thank you very much. Fine job this afternoon.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right, Jen Ryan, Chris Hill, thank you as well. It's been great presentation. Sounds like they were very helpful to our audience as well this afternoon. Now, before we leave you today, I'd like to share some information with you regarding the 2014 Used Car Week conferences, the CPO Dealer Forum, our Subprime Auto Finance Forum, our RE3, and the flagship, our cornerstone, is the National Remarketing Conference. These 4 conferences, through individual presentations, panel discussions, small group workshops, and just amazing networking opportunities, are going to set the stage for the future in all facets of the remarketing cycle. And we look at remarketing as the full cycle. It's everything from sourcing that vehicle in the pre-owned market to selling it in the retail market. Now, these are leading events in the used car industry, and there's something here for everyone, from dealers to remarketers, lenders, you name it. So please join us. Mark your calendars for November 10th through the 14th and in Las Vegas at the Red Rock Casino and Spa. Again, November 10th through the 14th. You can visit us online at usedcarweek.biz. That's usedcarweek.biz. Come for one or come for them all. We look forward to seeing you at Red Rock in November. And lastly, if you're not already a subscriber to Auto Remarketing's family of media, I invite you to visit us at autoremarketing.com. Again, it's autoremarketing.com. There you can sign up for your free e-news, print subscriptions. Very easy to do. Our free e-newsletters will keep you up to date on all that's happening in the pre-owned and remarketing industry, all the news you need to be successful in the used car market segment. Thank you again for your participation this afternoon. For Mary Lou McQuilkin, Nick Zulovich, my name's Bill Zadites. We'll see you here next time on the Auto Remarketing Training Series.